introducing professional Shawn O'Sullivan.
Okay, I gave both fighters the instruction in the dressing room, but I want to caution you again, obey my commands at all times. Shake hands and good luck.
Good luck.
Richard Steele, the man in the middle for this one. It is scheduled for 12 rounds. O'Sullivan in search of the NABF title. A man who never quite will forget about having to settle for silver in Los Angeles in the summer of '84 against Frank Tate. Despite two standing 8 counts in the second round against Tate. Tate came back with a big third and won a controversial decision. But now Shawn is a pro, and he has lost just once to Simon Brown in Toronto in June of '86.
The man he lost to, Frank Tate, of course, has gone on to win the IBF middleweight championship. And his career has flourished, and Shawn has done well, but the big test, he failed it against Simon Brown, who's going to go on to fight for the welterweight title. And Shawn would like to get another shot at him, I guess, down the road.
Well, he said he made some bad mistakes, admitted to them in the match with Brown, and after that loss, he had reconstructive surgery in his right hand. 2 knuckles were involved there. The same doctor that operated on Mark Breland to help save his career. And now has Shawn back with a string of victories since that surgery. Defense has always been a problem for O'Sullivan. I mean, he can give, but he'll also get in the process. His amateur career was highlighted by the fact that he was wild and exciting, but he almost got taken out of bouts by being so open and giving defense such short shrift.
And you saw him in a lot of matches even before Americans saw him work up in Canada, so.
And work here, of course, in the series leading up to the Olympics against the Soviets and the best of the rest of the amateur world. Very good amateur fighter. Alexander Koshkin, he thrilled people in Reno with an exciting bout back in '84 leading up to the Olympics, and he beat the Soviet after almost being taken out the second round. But now Santana is the same kind of fighter. I mean, he's maybe not perfect defensively, maybe a little bit more skilled than O'Sullivan, but he can sure brawl and sure wallop, as we're seeing so far in the early seconds here, signs of it.
The best way to beat Luis Santana is to give him a little lateral movement in boxing. The people that have done that well have utterly confused him and won easily. And when you brawl with him, you can have problems. Even Tommy Ayers, who was then the #1 contender, was in all kinds of trouble against Santana early. Finally, that fight finally stopped when Ayers had Santana in trouble. Santana feels inappropriately, and I tend to agree. But early on, Santana had him in trouble, so he can punch.
Sullivan still guilty from time to time of dropping his hands, the left in particular. Always a bad habit of his. But his defense has improved considerably since those amateur days, wild bygone days of '83, '84.
Good right by Santana. He is getting that punch in often here early.
And he is scoring in the last minute here as the round winds down. They're scheduled for 12 as a body shot with the right precedes the left jab. Here is the second round. Shawn O'Sullivan from Toronto, Canada, in the white trunks on the right now against Luis Santana of Hawthorne, California. A better first round, I thought, for Santana than O'Sullivan.
Oh, yeah, much better. Shawn O'Sullivan standing straight up, keeping his head in an easy position for Santana to hit it with him. Santana will hit him with some more big overhand rights. You can go to the bank on that.
You talked about the Tate fight. There were 2 of them, actually. The Olympic gold medal bout won by Tate, and one that Tate also won 5-0 just 3 months before that. But they were junior middleweights then. O'Sullivan is determined, body fitness tests and the like, in both Toronto and Calgary, that he's better suited to be a welterweight. One of the great all-time welterweights, Sugar Ray Leonard, has him in his corner as his trainer, as he calls him, his very good friend and a very, very good trainer. But O'Sullivan admits the amateurs and the pros are very, very different. He calls the amateurs a sprint over 3 rounds and the pro game more like a marathon.
This 12-rounder, of course, he's never been 12. There 2 10-round fights. But then Santana's never been 12 either. Only been 10.
They both have power, and chances are they won't have to worry about this 12-round distance tonight.
As There's the right hand by Santana. It is there for him. It's amazing. There it is again.
There it is again. Is that left hand again? O'Sullivan's bad habit. He drops it midway in the second round. Another solid right. O'Sullivan paying the price. Both hands coming through from Santana.
The overhand right. Simon Brown hit him with it. Santana has a great one. He hurt Tommy Ayers with it, and he's hurting O'Sullivan with it.
O'Sullivan has fought well when hurt, but certainly has been stung here in the second round. He's still got a minute plus to get out of it.
Don't hold him, don't hold him.
Santana setting the early pace and doing much of the damage here in the second round. Virtually all of it.
Unless Shawn O'Sullivan finds a way to deal with that overhand right, he'll be out of there in the next couple rounds.
Don't hold him. Don't hold him.
Well, there was the bout back in the amateur days I talked about. Takes another right, 30 seconds to go. With the Soviet, looked like he was going to be taken out of the second round, but came back to bury the Soviet fighter in the third round and win. He may require that kind of resurgent performance here against Santana. Very good job since the 2-minute mark of staying out of harm's way, basically. That's a good left up, Santana. At the bell to win round 2, but it certainly was not Shawn O'Sullivan's round. Falling deeper in the hole here, taking more punishment than in the first round from Luis Santana.
What are you doing? Stay down, Shawn. Listen to me. Stay down. Like you train. Pop him, man. He's too slow. Get your punches off first, baby. Hands up, stay low. When does he hit you? When you're staying up, baby, right? Come on, show him what you can do. Show him what you can do. You pop him. Don't worry about this. You fight your fight, you'll win every round.
Well, Sugar Ray Leonard talking about what we talked about during the round, that Shawn standing straight up with his head open. And this is another thing that we talked about, the overhand right of Santana. I said early in the first round it would be a factor. It is. Santana landing it at will.
Because that left hand gets lower and lower. That is Peter Wiley, the amateur trainer of O'Sullivan, who stayed to work along with Leonard now in his pro career. Santana off and running here through 2 very good rounds for him, and here is the third, scheduled for 12. Having seen Shawn O'Sullivan so much myself, I have seen him have bad starts, bad rounds, and seen him rebound very nicely. He did not get away with it, though, against Simon Brown in his one loss back in '86. That was in the third round. That's where we are now in this one against Luis Santana.
Set him up.
And good advice from Ray Leonard. Obviously, the reason he's going to hit with those overhand rights is he's not bending down and keeping his chin tucked in. See, there's what Santana wants to do. Even when he doesn't land big punches, he wants to muscle Shawn O'Sullivan.
Set him up.
Well, no doubt I would think about your scorecard at this stage, Al.
First 2 rounds for Santana. Obviously, the second one more dramatic, but still only a 1-point round. There's the right hand again.
Sullivan still looks stiff. Reminds you of one of those European amateur fighters, doesn't he?
That's a very apt point, and that is exactly what he does look like. Everything very mechanical right now.
He doesn't look the least bit loose. He's not into this battle. Maybe the delay over the gloves, the anxiety, the last-minute rush to get the gloves and get him in here, may be a factor in his preparation. Halfway in the third round.
Straight right hand by Shawn O'Sullivan. The key to beating Santana is to keep the jab in his face and give him movement. Now there, when he does that, you see how effective he is? We've seen several people do that too, even dating back to April of 1984 when Reggie Miller, fighter from down in Lake Charles, Louisiana, outboxed Santana convincingly and gave the way you do it.
Sullivan looking a little more fluid now, moving a little bit better, although he's still getting tagged by both hands from Santana, but he's giving some of his own as he takes a right hand there. Santana trying to set it up with the jab, then banging with the right hand of the body very effectively as Shawn moves out of the way of the right.
Good body work by Santana.
30 seconds to go in the third round. I think generally a better round for O'Sullivan. That could hardly be worse, but still, Santana, I think, has got the edge here in this one as well. Pitching a shutout so far. Just seconds left in the third round. We'll be back to Las Vegas in a moment. Always Santana with a very obvious lead over Shawn O'Sullivan at the one-quarter mark of their scheduled 12-rounder for the North American Boxing Federation Welterweight Championship. Don Chevrier and Al Bernstein with you live from Bally's in Las Vegas. Welcome to viewers across the United States and ESPN and across Canada on the Sports Network tonight. Shawn O'Sullivan looking very stiff, looking very unsettled, looking very distracted as he came back to his corner even at the bell for that third round. I'm not quite sure what his problem is. Both men have knockout power. O'Sullivan with a higher percentage.
And of course, Santana has been by far the better opposition, which accounts for his being a little bit lower, even though he's a good knockout puncher.
And just about twice the number of pro bouts that O'Sullivan has had. His career dates back to 81. He's 29. O'Sullivan is 25.
What Santana was doing very well early, and he's getting away from, is jabbing to the body of O'Sullivan, then coming with that right hand. So now he's just trying to throw the right hand alone. Every time he jabs to the chest of O'Sullivan, or even throws a hook there and comes with the right, he looks like he's going to land.
There's some O'Sullivan jabs now, which could prove effective as time goes on. But he was admonished in his corner by Sugar Ray Leonard for not countering, for letting Santana dictate virtually everything here. That's been the case. There's a body shot midway in the fourth round. The question, the first three rounds have gone to the Californian.
Now there you see Lewis try and jab to the body and come with the right hand.
They accepted wagering on this bout here at Bally's down the hall in the casino, and they made O'Sullivan a very, very heavy favorite.
Interesting. I felt all along this was a very even matchup. O'Sullivan's boxing better in this round. He's getting hit with shots, but he's moving a little bit.
He's by no means totally fluid, but some of the stiffness is gone. Now he gets caught in the corner until he works his way out of there. He has to dance around this ring.
You know, looking at Luis Santana, he might have been a low blow by O'Sullivan, or maybe he hurt Santana with a headshot. It's hard to tell.
That was the body blow, I think, that slowed him. Stopped him in his tracks. It may have been low at that. You can't ever underestimate the power of O'Sullivan. He has ample power, even though he's behind. He can really come back and sting you. Less than 10 seconds to go in the fourth round, as he has a good closing 30 seconds for this round. That may encourage him at the bell after a slow start tonight.
Shawn O'Sullivan may be fighting south of his border, but he doesn't hit south of the border. He hits a legal punch to the body of Luis Santana. That was the punch that kind of stopped Luis in his tracks.
Got him right on the 49th parallel.
Right. Geographical reference there, huh?
Well, Santana, an obvious winner for the first three rounds. O'Sullivan with a better performance in the fourth round was told that by Sugar Ray Leonard in his corner, along with Peter Wiley, his long-term trainer. So maybe it's just taking Shawn a little bit longer to loosen up tonight for some reason. He said he's watched video of Santana going back to 84 and said he really hasn't changed much for any of those fights. He said, I know what I have to do, and I plan to go right in and do it. Well, that exactly didn't turn out the way that Shawn planned it tonight. Now the body shot, as you saw that replay, was effective. He goes back to it in this round.
Well, one of the things that has often been questioned about Luis Santana is the shape he comes into fights in. His manager-trainer Jimmy Montoya doesn't always have a chance to supervise him, and there are times when Luis is not in the best of shape. When he's in real good shape, he's a tough customer. So testing the body, not a bad idea by O'Sullivan. He's doing it here.
It's working out for him. Let's go to your scorecard now.
Got Santana had 40-37, 3 rounds for him, 1 even.
Keep him up, keep him up.
So you did not give the last round to O'Sullivan, but instead call it even, did you?
Yes, I felt both men have done good work.
Watch her get out.
Santana's not working as well now on the inside as I think he would like to do when he's got O'Sullivan there. There's the overhand right. Where's that been the last 2 rounds?
Yeah, it was devastating early.
Part of the reason is Luis Santana's not setting it up with that jab to the chest and then feinting and throwing the right hand.
I tell you, I could be wrong, but it occurs to me that O'Sullivan may not have warmed up properly this coming in here. He has gone off to a dreadfully slow start, but is looking, showing a lot more rhythm now.
He is loosening up a little bit.
Let him up, let him up.
A little over a minute to go in the 5th round. Again, a better round for O'Sullivan, but he's not overpowering or overwhelming Santana by any means.
Now there was a hook to the body and the overhand right. What Santana needs to do is do anything with the left hand before he throws the overhand right, whether it's a jab or a left to the body. He keeps Sullivan occupied and then comes with the overhand right.
A moment ago, you saw O'Sullivan give 1 jab, and he took 2 in return. Now he backs it to the right. Here's a good shot. But again, is catching after starting a rally but not sustaining it. 30 seconds to go in the 5th round.
I'll tell you what, neither of these fighters
big jab there.
are showing real great hand speed in this bout. Both been a little ponderous with their punches for welterweights.
Both at 146 3/4 coming in. With less than 10 seconds to go in the 5th round. Interesting fight, but perhaps not going the way we thought.
Let's go.
Here's when Luis Santana can get that right hand off. A left hook to the body, there's the right hand over. Got to do something with the left first, then O'Sullivan's vulnerable for the right hand.
Told by his corner to forget the body for now and aim for the head a little more. Give him something different to think about. That's what he starts out doing.
Jab by Santana starting out this round. It's an underused punch for him in any case. He doesn't have a bad jab. Santana has real trouble with slick boxers. I mentioned it when Reggie Miller got in trouble. Darren Van Horn, a youngster from Kentucky, who's a pretty slick young junior middleweight, was hurt by Santana a couple times, but his overall speed and boxing skills was able to get him a win over Lewis. Now the right hand of O'Sullivan becoming a factor.
Yeah, that got over the top and landed.
Let him up, let him up.
Double left by Santana.
Big one. Right on the money.
You know, it's funny, I started saying that before the second one even happened. I shouldn't do that, but I just knew it was going to be there.
Now, whenever Sullivan shows signs of coming out of the doldrums here, Santana will spring forward to something like that and really change things dramatically midway in this round. Drives it back with the right again, bang, right to the body.
Don't hold him, punch him, get out.
So O'Sullivan has found an experienced brawler, certainly his equal and more, in Luis Santana. About a minute to go in the 6th round. As he approached the halfway point, there's the right through again.
It's just an uneven effort by Shawn O'Sullivan.
Very.
It has its moments. Now, Luis, I've seen Luis Santana fight better than this. He's doing well, and he's winning. But I've seen him do even better than this. So, Shawn O'Sullivan's lucky he's not facing the same Luis Santana that's dismantled some other people.
And I have also seen O'Sullivan look as lethargic as this, and suddenly, ooh, good right there, out of the chin, come out of it and take his man out. But here, he's taking some wicked shots with both hands.
Oh, let him up. Hold. Don't hold him down.
And I'll tell you, Luis Santana doing a pretty good defensive job, better than he sometimes does. In that area, he is doing well. Well, that jab to the chest and then the overhand right, such a good weapon for Santana. He just used it there.
There's 10 seconds to go in round 6. It is scheduled for 12 in the first half of this fight. almost entirely preventable for Shawn O'Sullivan. He gets pounded by Santana in the closing seconds. A big round for Santana. 7th round. Second half of this bout is underway.
Jimmy Montoya, quite a motivator. We're not hearing Italian. This is the United States, isn't it?
I think we're back from Genoa, aren't we?
Oh, just barely. I think I have terminal jet lag from the trip returning.
9-hour swing in time zone. It's been quite a week. O'Sullivan coming back from his reconstructive hand surgery, taking 9 months off, shaking off the loss to Brown. Has put together a pretty good record here, but it seems to be down the drain right now. In fact, his very last bout against Daryl Anthony, an impressive win in Sudbury. He beat Chris Clark, Eduardo Bernole, Rick Kaiser, stopped them all 4 in a row. But here, really struggling against Santana.
And the win over Anthony, the only one of those names that really meant anything. Anthony, a fairly decent fighter. Daryl once better than he is now. But he's in against a tough man here, and Santana chained off on him. I said at the outset it would be the hardest man he's faced, and it has been.
He's in against a man fighting for his career potentially, too. As Santana told you this morning, if I lose this, I may well retire. He's lost 3 or 4 coming in. So he's motivated. And he's got a lead at your card, and rightly so, I agree.
I've got him winning big.
But the conditioning factor, the body blows that O'Sullivan can get to in the second half of the fight can turn this around. But right now, Shawn has dug himself a deep hole. And continues to take abuse with both hands from Santana. Sullivan's getting his shots in, make no mistake, but nothing sustained. There's one hook, nothing more to follow. Tries to hang on in the corner. Takes a right, takes a left, another right. Gets driven back toward the center of the ring with a minute to go in the 7th round.
And when you let Luis Santana get into a rhythm like that,
right,
he is just a very tough man to deal with. The idea is to not let him get in the rhythm, box him so that he can't find you and gets confused and frustrated. Right now, he's not either of those. He's just coming on strong.
Shawn is so open to that right hand. It's incredible.
And he's talking to them in the corner, Shawn O'Sullivan, but meanwhile, he's getting pounded.
I don't think he's really been hurt by Santana.
No, that's an interesting point, Don. I don't think he is. But
even with that, he hasn't been hurt. He takes it in his stride, but those are all big scoring points for his opponent. Santana winning this round very, very big. Sullivan's going to mount a comeback. It's going to have to come soon. Scheduled for 12. Pointed 3, 4, 5 blows to 1. Santana with a left at the bell to end round 7. Again, not a good round at all for the young man from Toronto.
What's wrong? Are you all right?
I'm good.
Breathe. Breathe. Breathe.
Shawn,
Breathe.
why are you looking at us? We're not hitting you. He's hitting you. He's too smart for this guy. Reach down and bring it up. If you feel flat, bring it out of you. Understand? Bring it out, baby. Okay? Be a fighter. Be a fighter.
Shawn, you gotta reach down. You gotta reach down. You've been there before. You can let this
Gotta bring it out of you, man.
Come on.
Well, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard has already given him technical advice and good technical advice, and he's sensing now that that's not going to get the job done. He's just trying to motivate O'Sullivan now. There's the left and the right by Luis Santana. He's now trying something different. What that man, Jimmy Montoya, often does in a cause that he thinks might be starting to be lost. Just motivate your fighter, and maybe he'll make something dramatic happen. You could see Leonard switch gears.
O'Sullivan has to make something dramatic happen if he wants to win this championship tonight and avoid his second professional defeat. He has to be way behind on points. No question of that. Interesting, too, we heard Sugar Ray allude in his conversation with Shawn to the fact that you are flat, and he's been very, very flat since he walked into this ring, no question. So he said, be a fighter. Bring it out from within yourself if you can. Looks to be a very tall order now. O'Sullivan goes to the jab. But Santana is right there, right in front of him at all times, still coming.
Now, the one thing that Shawn O'Sullivan may have going for him here, and it's slim, is that Lewis has faded and fights it. Oh, he's not doing it now, though.
Wow, he took some big lefts. They now are right.
I think Shawn might be ready to go here.
He did feel those punches. Knees wobbling ever so slightly. See the body shot that followed that throw. There's the left again. A third one. Finally, he gets on a right shot to the nose, back to the center of the ring.
You know, you can look at Shawn O'Sullivan and see on his face just almost disappointment and frustration more than being hurt by Santana, that he knows this is a flat performance at a time when he needed a good one. You know, they very carefully constructed a comeback for him after the Brown fight that would get him to this juncture. It hasn't worked out for him. And he's facing a guy that, while he's good, is the kind of a guy you have to beat if you want to say you can be a contender.
The hands get lower and lower, and the head is so much more available to Santana now than ever before. There goes the mouthpiece on that wicked shot. Fighting without one now in the closing seconds of this round. And a solid right. He is dancing, just trying to avoid any further punishment here, taking a wicked beating from Luis Santana. Shawn ever looked worse as a pro, it was against Simon Brown, but that didn't last as long. TKO in the third round. Here in round 8, less than 30 seconds to go. It's getting awfully late for a comeback bid. Seconds to go on the 8th round. Santana dictating the pace, punishing his man with both hands as he has from the outset. We'll be back.
With Santana landing this excellent left hook. Hey, that right hand almost hit our cameraman Gordy Sager. Thank goodness it didn't. Santana with a good combination in there.
Well, a very unexpected flat performance is the term for it by Shawn O'Sullivan. Move now, trying to jab, trying to get down low, and trying to do what Sugar Ray has urged him to do throughout this bout here in this round on the line. And the crowd responding as he does get some success, finally. A lot of Canadians here for a convention. He took one, but gave one there at the same time.
Well, he's working the body again a little bit, trying, but in the process, I tell you, he's leaving himself open, and Santana may take advantage of that.
So open as an amateur, got away with it then, and really hasn't changed much. Shawn's defense as a pro.
Well, that's the hard part of boxing. A lot of guys have great offense. It's slipping, blocking, and doing all the defensive things you need to do.
That's the part that makes you champion.
And ironically, it might be the thing that kept Luis Santana from being a champion. Because offensively, he has had good success. And, you know, this is not a Luis Santana that we've seen 2-3 years ago. He's fighting very, very well. But he's just lost a smidge of quickness. Not much. And he's still a good fighter.
Well, he has fought well. You don't want to take it away from him. But O'Sullivan has helped him look very good here tonight with his hands so low and the head so available from either hand. The overhand right and the left hook.
Right. What Luis has done, though, is it's been a very consistent effort.
Extremely. Since the start of the fight. O'Sullivan looking better here in this round, but it's getting oh so late for him now. Certainly on points, I think he can forget it. He's got to mount something to stop Santana if he possibly can. And he's capable, certainly. As you see right there, the crisp right he gets off, brings another. Catches it with the left coming in as the slugfest continues. O'Sullivan now with a wicked right, teeing off with 30 seconds to go on the round. He's coming on, but he's also catching.
Oh, this has been a memorable round 9. Well, if this doesn't get O'Sullivan back into it, nothing will. And I'll tell you, Santana's walking through those shots, though.
But he is letting himself, Santana, get drawn into a brawl that he might get burned by. being so much in command on points, he could get caught here as they intensify the action in the closing seconds. What a round.
Shawn O'Sullivan was able to bounce some right hands off the head of Luis Santana like that one. Might have gotten him back into this to a certain extent.
Well, you could never accuse this son of a bus driver from Toronto, Ontario, Canada of lacking heart. He has always had that and showed it again in that last round.
Oh, there's no question about that. And he has taken some tremendous shots from Luis Santana, who is a good puncher. He hasn't even come close to going down.
Sullivan's a good one, too, and he's finally again showing signs of coming to life here. He knows now a knockout's the only way to win it, but he may get burned himself as Santana's there to counter him. There's a left from O'Sullivan that is on the money.
They have turned the last 2 rounds of this fight into something special.
It is a remarkable display of courage by O'Sullivan and by Santana to just keep on coming, doing what he has done consistently since the opening bell.
Well, he's found the key with this right hand as Santana's coming in. Remember, I talked about the counter-punching at the beginning of the fight. Well, now it's coming into play for O'Sullivan. It wasn't before.
Trying to get something going with his combinations. Drove the right home after the left. Halfway in the 10th round. It is scheduled for 12. Still 2 more to go for the NEBF welterweight title, which is vacant, but heading in the direction of Santana's corner unless O'Sullivan turns this around.
Hey, Shawn.
Oh, there's a right that landed. A big one by Santana.
I was just going to say, Shawn's been landing those big right hands in this round, bouncing them off Santana's head, but Luis doing the bigger damage apparently, although I think Shawn O'Sullivan may be winning his first round in a long time.
And this is reminiscent of his brawl with Alexander Koshkin as an amateur, the Soviet fighter, when he came back in the closing round to win that one, having taken a terrible beating in the first 2.
Oh.
It's all or nothing now for O'Sullivan as he lets it fly.
Santana just isn't stopped with those right hands. I would say O'Sullivan has conservatively landed 10 real good right hands in this round, and none of them have pushed Santana back. Again.
And if you're scoring the round, he may not be winning it. Probably isn't, having done that, as his mouthpiece flies out again. Half a minute to go in the 10th round.
Good round for Shawn O'Sullivan, but it's just that he is taking punishments from Santana too. But also, just winning rounds at this point for him, I think, is not going to get the job done. But he's letting it hang out. He's landing bombs, and Santana is not fazed by it. And as you say, Shawn, it can punch.
Just 5 seconds to go in the 10th round.
This is a remarkable comeback any way you look at it by O'Sullivan, no matter what. And for Luis Santana, you look at him. He's in a war, and he didn't think he'd be in one at this point. Yeah, Jimmy Montoya.
Yes, Santana was sailing along against a fighter who left it somewhere, locker room or back at Cabbagetown in Toronto. But suddenly, O'Sullivan comes to life in the 9th round, and it is a contest now. Not so much in terms of scoring, but in terms of a possible turnaround victory by O'Sullivan by a knockout.
See if our keys to victory offer us any clue on this. Well, O'Sullivan, until the last round, did not counterpunch well. I don't think he's controlled the tempo of this fight. Santana has worked well inside, and has he made it a war? Yeah, I guess so.
So he has done what he came to do. O'Sullivan said he was prepared, knew exactly what he had to do, knew where he'd find his man, but didn't get much done until late. But boy, as you say, he takes as well as gives when he does get his rallies going.
Seconds out. Let's go.
Round 11, scheduled for 12.
You know, Sullivan continue what he did in the last round. You know, eventually he may land one of those rights to Santana's head. Does do a lot of damage. I don't know. You know, at this point, Luis has taken those and not been impeded at all.
And as O'Sullivan referred to pro boxing as the marathon as compared to the amateur sprint of 3 rounds, they both go farther than they ever have before now, the 11th round.
And to use the vernacular of the marathon, we'll see who hits the wall here.
I'll tell you, both of them, but O'Sullivan in particular will be reaching for the painkillers tonight and tomorrow. Goodness, they've taken some shots.
You know, both men have now ignored the body. The head has been so available. You know, O'Sullivan's fought the last 2 rounds the way he probably should have fought this whole fight. Of course, it's easy to say that. But ironically, he's done it at this point in the fight, which is when you wouldn't expect it.
Wicked shots from both men. Santana again very effective, finishing with the uppercut. Now the jab to drive O'Sullivan back. Halfway through the round, and blocks him, down he goes. Up against the ropes, the stiff right with 1:25 to go in round 11 as O'Sullivan slowly getting to his feet. Richard Steele up to 8 now on the count. Sending Santana back to the corner. A little extra time for Shawn, and here we go. He's in big trouble. He may go again. Wicked shots into his own corner. Here's Steele. He'll stop it. It's all over. Santana stops the Canadian in the 11th round. Blood streaming down the face of Shawn O'Sullivan. As he let it all fly in a desperate attempt for victory, he got caught by Santana.
A huge victory for Luis Santana. He admitted this morning if he lost, he would probably retire. For that man, Shawn O'Sullivan, the comeback at this moment from the loss to Simon Brown is detoured. He was in against a fellow who has lots of power, more skill than people give him credit for, and too much for this young man. And for Luis Santana, as I said, what a boon to his career. The one thing about Luis, when he's on, when he's in good shape, when he can fight this way, he's a tough man for any welterweight in the world to deal with.
Well, the knockdown, one more look at it now as he got caught with a thunderous right hand.
They traded rights, and in this case, Santana's, as it was throughout the fight, was more powerful. Set up again by body. And look, he was set up by the left hook to the body, just as earlier in the fight when the left jab or the left hook would set it up for Santana and work there. This is the end of the fight.
Into Shawn's corner, and he was defenseless. And Richard Steele right there. He's a very good referee.
He's not just very good, Don. He is the best.
Excellent.
He is the best. He was positioned perfectly. He didn't interfere with Santana's ability to punch, but moved in at exactly the right time. What a fine move by Richard Steele.
All right, here now we go to the ring once again. Chuck Hull, the official announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 1 minute, 57 seconds of the 11th round. Referee Richard Steele stops the bout. The winner by a TKO and new NABF welterweight champion, Luis Santana.
So the career continues for Luis Santana. Leading the TKO of Shawn O'Sullivan at 1:57 of the 11th round, stopping the young Canadian, handing him just his second loss in 19 professional fights. And there was no question from the outset this was to be Luis Santana's night. We'll be back to Las Vegas.